16. It says, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. Oh, and 17. Therefore, do not be foolish, but understand what the Lord's will is. Yesterday, his message hit me so hard because I was like, I realized like where I'm really like just falling apart and not being very wise with the time that he's given me, and it's necessary. And I think as Christians, if we don't know the will of the Lord, then how can we move forward in the things that he wants us to do, you know? And that's in every area, and why I've been falling short in school, for an example. But it's like, if this is the will of the Lord right now, that I am in school, why am I not making the best of my time? You know, and I'm wasting my time, and I'm wasting God's time. I was reading yesterday a devotional before I went to bed, and I was like, ooh, that's good. And it says, nothing in our lives is a mere insignificant detail to God. Are there some areas regarding your physical or intellectual life to which you have been paying no attention at all? If so, you may think you are correct in the important areas, but you are careless. You are failing to concentrate or to focus properly. As you cannot take a day off morally and still remain moral, neither can you take off a day spiritually and still remain spiritual. God wants you to be entirely his, and it requires paying close attention to keep yourself fit. It also takes a tremendous amount of time. Yes, some of us expect to rise above all of our problems, going from one mountaintop experience to another with only a few minutes effort. So I thought, I was like, well, am I a child of God? Well, I know that answer. Yeah, I am. So then why am I not doing the things that a child of God needs to be doing? As in, well, for one, not wasting his time, doing the things that I know are expected of me. And I've just kind of been coasting along, saying, oh, well, things will fall into place eventually. I don't know if you guys ever saw the Amanda Bynes show that she had. She was a superhero, and she never saved the world because she was always going to do it eventually. And it never happened, so she was eventually girl. And I see, like, I can look back at that, and I'm like, I'm eventually girl. I eventually get to it. I eventually do this. I eventually do that. And it's like, take the time for what it is now. Take it, seize it, and do what is required of you. And the things that are not required of you, let them go. Because you could be serving in ministry, but that's not the ministry that God has called you to serve in. And, you know, we can be wasting our time doing things that we think God wants for us. And they're not his, they're not ours, they're not what he's given to us. And I think that's where it's good. Others may, you may not type of, zeal. Others can, because that is what they're called to. That's what God has called me to. I can never be a missionary like my father, ever. If I try to, I'd be disobeying the will of God, because the will of God is not for me to be a missionary. So, I guess just as the day goes on, or something to always keep in mind is, am I glorifying God in this? Am I giving God true glory and true worship? Because again, you could be serving in a ministry that God has not called you to, or you could be doing something and making yourself busy with your hands, but God hasn't called you to do that one thing. Is that glorifying God? Because you're not doing what you should be doing. You're doing something else. So.
Woo! That was good.